YouTube, we're talking college sports here in the Deep South, where college football is king, and on the plains of Auburn, the battle cry is War Eagle. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart for Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. We're talking about Auburn football like it's nobody's business here on the podcast tonight. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn, and click the button twice so you don't ever miss any of the ongoing information that we have going on over here on the channel concerning Auburn football. 2019 season is well in hand. We've got a couple of months before the Advocare Classic. Kind of thinking about some things today as I've been doing some previews on some impact players. We talked about Zion Puckett. We talked about some other guys along the way, including Charles Moore, a couple of guys that haven't even arrived on campus yet, who we feel are going to be very impactful coming into the 2019 season. Also, check out previews that I've done against Kent State. Auburn will be playing Kent State under the lights in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Also, we'll be taking on an old rival in Tulane. We've already done coverage on those two teams. A side note for the Kent State Golden Flashes, the current starting quarterback, Woody Barrett, is a former Auburn high-level recruit out of Florida, transferred to Kent State, and now he's running that show or lack thereof at Kent State. So today we're going to talk about the secondary for the Auburn Tigers, which is a bit of concern for me, especially at the field cornerback position. Now, for those of you who don't know, the field cornerback is usually a position that's vacated by usually the most talented, most disciplined, shutdown corner on the football field. Most recently, Auburn has had Carlton Davis as that particular type of cornerback. Shut down his whole side of the football field. Very good cornerback. Actually making a little money in the NFL now. But I'm really concerned about this position because, first of all, you're asking a guy who played wide receiver just a couple of years ago to be responsible for probably the most important position secondary-wise on the football field when you talk about cornerbacks. That none other than Noah Igbenogany. We've already done a preview on Noah Igbenogany. I really feel that he's going to have a breakout season. I think he will under Wesley McGriff will have some of those fundamental issues taken care of. I'm really excited about the prospect of Noah Igbenogany coming into the 2019 season. I think his performance is going to be great, but see, my issue is the depth. When if you were to start the season right now, not factoring in Zion Puckett, not factoring in any other recruit that will be coming to Auburn, you have a depth issue at the field cornerback position. Now, based on depth charts that I've been seeing in media outlets, it appears that Devin Barrett is the backup to Noah Igbenogany. Now, I honestly don't believe if something, just for reserve purposes, I don't believe they would put Devin Barrett in the game. Now, I'm saying this not knowing how Devin Barrett has progressed potentially as a cornerback. I know it hadn't worked out for him at the running back position. I think they tried him a little bit at receiver, but that's a huge concern for me. And I think Noah Igbenogany in and of himself will be absolutely fine. He's going to have a great season. But that reserve position, that's where Auburn is going to have to continue to recruit to make sure that your two deep is highly talented and ready to go at any moment's notice, and also being able to have some effective rotations. Okay? So this is what I think will probably happen in the event that, say, Noah Igbenogany needs to take a break or something like that. You have some very talented guys in the secondary. Now, Christian Tutt, in my honest opinion, can play any position in the secondary. I think he's most effective at the nickelback, where he will be playing. I also think he could be a pretty good field cornerback. So I think you could have a situation where, okay, you got Christian Tutt as the nickelback, but you can move some things around to maybe let him play a little field cornerback every now and then in reserve type situations. Also, Jamel Dean is gone, y'all. My bad. Javaris Davis, who played nickelback, wasn't as successful in that particular position, will be playing the boundary cornerback. That's usually covers the short side of the field. I think that's a good position for him because he will be forced to control his speed a little bit more. For those of you who don't know, Javaris Davis is one of the fastest cornerbacks in the country. Lightning fast. When he gets the football, he caught an interception against Purdue that I was very, very thoroughly impressed with his speed running the football as well after that interception. So you got Javaris Davis over at the boundary cornerback, which I think is the very, very best position for him. A lot of folks would like to think that this could be one of the best, cornerback duos in the country. I think that is highly up for debate because you got a lot of great. I'm not knocking these two guys, Javaris Davis and Noah Igbenogany, but you got some really talented cornerbacks, especially in the Southeastern Conference. When you look at teams like Georgia, you look at teams like LSU, even Alabama, these guys are very talented. So Javaris Davis and Noah Igbenogany, from an athletic standpoint, I mean, they can bang with the best of them. Now, to say that they're the best duo in the country, I think you're rolling the dice on that one. And I'm not going to get involved with that crap game, okay? But anyway, I think that, the depth concerns are real at the secondary position. I really do believe that the first group is arguably one of the more talented in the country. You talk about Javaris Davis at the boundary cornerback. You're talking about, just super talented, gifted athlete Noah Igbenogany at the field cornerback. Then you throw in a very highly recruited nickelback in Christian Tutt. Then you talk about the safety position, which I feel very, very good about in Jeremiah Denson and Daniel Thomas. Jeremiah Denson has had some really big game experience, especially playing against Washington and Clemson. So he's used to games like, these neutral site ball games, these high impact ball games. So I think he will be one of the leaders on the team because he's been there before. Made some big plays in Death Valley against Clemson. As a matter of fact, had a fumble recovery early in the game in Death Valley where Auburn was in magnificent field position but couldn't punch it in. I thought Auburn really had a chance against Clemson over in Death Valley facing Kelly Bryant. Probably should have won that game. That's one that Gus let slip away back in 2017. Now, like I said before, when you have a talented group like this, these guys are very good. Now, the thing that will also help this secondary out is that you have a lot more athleticism at the linebackers. Now, if you notice, over the past few years, the secondary has been asked to help out in real sly kind of ways that a lot of us probably didn't take into account. You talk about, back when, you had several safeties who have always come up to to help out with run support. One safety that comes to mind is Trey Matthews. Trey Matthews was always active in that interior part of the football field, kind of like a extra linebacker for the Auburn Tigers. Daniel Thomas also helped with run support on the edge as well. I believe that coming into the 2019 season, you're going to actually have a lot more athleticism at the linebacker position to where the edge will be covered by the linebackers. You're going to have some more effective sideline to sideline type linebackers to where it'll free Daniel Thomas, it'll free Jeremiah Denson, and it would free the cornerback position up to really, really be effective in what they're being asked to do. Accompany that with arguably one of the better defensive lines in the country. You can't argue that when you have guys like Derek Brown, Marlon Davidson, Nick Coe, all of these guys in the interior line, Big Cat Bryant, you're talking about something that could be real nasty, especially if the linebackers can gel, if the linebackers can come together as a unit very quickly. Now, they have a couple of weeks to figure this thing out. Although you have Oregon the first week of the season, this is not the end-all, be-all. I mean, of course, a win over Oregon would be spectacular, and I do expect Auburn to win that particular game. But you still got a couple of weeks until what really matters, starts to happen. You got a trip to College Station. We're going to do a preview on those guys real soon. I like what I see down at Texas A&M and College Station and what Jimbo Fisher is doing with that program. But if those linebackers can gel together, no matter what combination they want to use, I mean, if you got Owen Papo, which I think will probably not play the Mike linebacker, for those of you who don't know, the Mike linebacker is the middle linebacker. I think his most effective area right now would be to challenge for the Will linebacker, which is the weak side linebacker for the Auburn Tigers. So if all of those things come together, you could be looking at a very, very stout defense, arguably one of the most talented top to bottom that Kevin Steele has had since his arrival at Auburn. Now, like I said before, we got to note the inexperience at the, not the inexperience, but the lack of depth at the field cornerback position. But I think you got enough talent around to supplement some things there. All right, guys, let me know what you think about this video and the possibility of the secondary and the Auburn defense coming into the 2019 season. Once again, it is Kennard Vernon Stewart for Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn, where it's always great to be an Auburn Tiger. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, War Eagle.